Hi guys, welcome to another video. Today I'll be giving you John Travolta's top 10 best movies. He's a great actor who turned down some pretty big roles in the 80s to pursue his pilot license, most notably An Officer and a Gentleman and American Gigolo. Both of them went to Richard Gere and started his career. But still, John Travolta has a great filmography, so let's get into it. Sit back, relax, and let the show begin. Number 10 is Eyes of an Angel. Released in 1991 and directed by Robert Harmon, and it's also produced by Michael Douglas, this is a great hidden gem that no one ever talks about. Travolta plays a single father, and he's a recovering alcoholic, and recently his wife dies from a drug overdose. It's got a great story about a bunch of millionaires whose idea of a good time is dogfighting, and when their dog loses, they dump it in the river to die. But the dog has too much heart and overcomes the odds and survives. Travolta's daughter finds the dog and grows attached. It's a beautiful little hidden gem that I went out of my way to make sure it made my list, so check this one out. Number 9 is Look Who's Talking. Released in 1989 and directed by Amy Heckerling, this also made my Bruce Willis top 10 list. It's just such a fun comedy. It was a massive hit at the box office, and it was a surprise hit for Travolta, who up until that point was no longer considered a bankable movie star. Travolta plays the cab driver who brings Kirstie Alley to the hospital. He also stays and helps out with the birth. Travolta and Alley become friends, and he helps out with her son, Mikey. It's got a great cast, fun story, and a lot of funny moments. It's a great movie. Number 8 is Broken Arrow. Released in 1996 and directed by John Woo, I've always enjoyed this film. It's got a great cast of John Travolta, Christian Slater, and Samantha Mathis. Slater and Mathis also starred in another film I love, Pump Up the Volume. Broken Arrow is an excellent 90s action flick. Travolta plays a military pilot who turns terrorist. He even tries to kill his co-pilot, played by Christian Slater. Travolta is amazing in this role. He plays an excellent villain. I love the canyon location, and the scenery is excellent. Hans Zimmer's music score is amazing. The theme was also used in Scream 2. I always thought that was weird, but it's just so good that they had to use it in multiple movies. Broken Arrow is awesome. Number 7 is Get Shorty. Released in 1995 and directed by Barry Sonnenfeld, I love Get Shorty. It's just so much fun to watch. It's got a great cast all around with many notable co-stars. I also love the Hollywood filming locations, especially the scenes up in the hills. Travolta plays a loan shark who wants to produce Hollywood pictures. I love the scene where he first talks to Gene Hackman, who plays a B-movie type producer. He's there to collect a debt, but ends up pitching a movie idea to Hackman and kind of gets into business with him on a new movie. This movie is awesome. There was a sequel called Be Cool, but it's not nearly as good. Number 6 is Blowout. Released in 1981 and directed by Brian De Palma, who previously worked with Travolta on Carrie. Blowout failed at the box office, but it shouldn't have. It's amazing. Travolta plays a sound technician mainly for B-type horror pictures. He's told to go out and record some new sounds for the movie. And while he's out collecting sounds late one night, he records a car crashing into the water. He jumps in and saves the woman, played by Nancy Allen. Travolta re-listens to his recordings and finds out it's not an accident, but an attempted murder. And John Lithgow, who worked with De Palma after this film in Raising Cain, is sent in to finish the job. It's an excellent film that you have to see if you haven't yet. Number 5 is Urban Cowboy. Released in 1980 and directed by James Bridges, I love this film so much. Travolta plays a country boy who moves to Texas, and his uncle helps him get a job at the pipelines. After work, everyone hangs out at Gillies. It's a rodeo bar. Travolta starts to practice riding the mechanical bull for a big cash prize contest at the end. It's got a great cast, including Deborah Winger and Scott Glenn. I love the Pasadena and the bar location, and the soundtrack is awesome. Urban Cowboy is excellent. Number 4 is Face Off. Released in 1997 and directed by John Woo, who also made Broken Arrow, Face Off also made my Nicolas Cage top 10 list. It's an action classic. Travolta plays the FBI agent who takes down Cage, but when he finds out that Cage left them with a highly destructive bomb set to detonate very soon, Travolta has to go undercover by wearing his face. It's phenomenal. The acting, the story, and the action sequences are top-notch. I remember seeing this in theaters and I was blown away. It's just so awesome. Number 3 is Pulp Fiction. Released in 1994 and directed by Quentin Tarantino, this also made my Bruce Willis top 10 list, and for good reason. It's a masterpiece. Travolta is excellent. I love his segments in this film. The opening scene leading into the shootout, then accidentally blowing the guy's brains out while driving. It's just so entertaining. And the iconic Jack Rabbit Slim's dance-off scene is so much fun. I love the dialogue and the intertwining storylines. Pulp Fiction is just such a masterpiece, man. Number 2 is Grease. Released in 1978 and directed by Randall Kleiser, Grease is such a classic. Travolta as Danny Zuko is iconic. So many great scenes and musical numbers. The only scene that never worked for me is that beauty school dropout bit, but other than that, Grease is an excellent film. The cast all around are so much fun to watch. I love that car race at the end. Travolta and Olivia Newton-John would work together again a few years later in Two of a Kind, but it's pretty bad. And a fun fact, when Travolta is playing basketball, you can spot a young Michael Biehn in the background from The Terminator. This movie is awesome. Number 1 is Saturday Night Fever. Released in 1977 and directed by John Badham, this was Travolta's breakout role. He plays Tony Manero. He's a bit of a numbskull, but at night he's the disco king. I've always loved this movie. I've seen it countless times and I still enjoy it today. I love the New York locations, especially the scenes where they climb up on the bridge. I love the Bee Gees soundtrack. The music was so good that people would literally leave the theater and purchase the soundtrack immediately. Saturday Night Fever is a classic. There's also a sequel in '83, written and directed by Sylvester Stallone, and he also has a little cameo where he bumps into Travolta on the street. It's a fun movie, but it's not as good as Saturday Night Fever, that's for sure. Anyways, that's the list, guys. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.
Going up. In the office, baby.
Good day.